Imagine this, a peanut butter so tasty that it takes the world by storm.
I like trying to prove to myself and the people I work with that we can do it.
The incredible story of Fix Fogg, including the smooth bits and the crunchy bits.
Don't be afraid of failure. If your idea sucks, don't worry about it. You'll have another one, and just keep going.
Kia ora, I'm Jahan Casanada, and welcome to Imagine This, a podcast about brilliant people creating incredible businesses right here in Wellington. My guest today is the founder of Fix Fogg. His name is Roman Jewell. Hey, Roman.
Hi, Jahan.
So good to see you, so familiar with your brand, and many Kiwis will be as well. What's interesting to me is that just 8 years ago, you were sitting in an office working as a corporate lawyer before any of this took place. So where was your life at back then?
I wasn't fulfilled. Working in corporate environment, awesome intellectual stimulation, work with really nice people. But for me, the role wasn't giving me what I really wanted, which was a creative outlet to create something physical, a creative outlet to really manage a culture, a creative outlet to choose a team and grow with them. All those sorts of things I was missing. I didn't really know how to get it, but I just had that kind of ache in my gut that I really wanted to do something else.
A lot of people are in that position, right? There's lots of people, especially because of just the need to earn a living, to pay rent and look after their families. They find themselves in jobs where maybe they're not fulfilled.
Yeah. And we were the same, right? Like we had bills, we had a mortgage, we had, I guess the fact that Andrea was about to go on maternity leave, our income would be halved and finances would go into freefall. But there is a path. There honestly is a path to start a business or to chase a dream or to really go out there and, find that thing that works for you. And I'd say that thing, even if you don't know what it is, you can start. And you can start the way we did, which was do it at nighttime, do it on the weekends, try something. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it does. Try another thing. That might not work as well. And just keep going and just feel your way around until you find something that fits with you. And that's what happened for us. Nut butter was not the first thing we tried. We tried all sorts of nonsense.
Like what?
I enrolled in the Thorndon pottery course. I thought I'd get into ceramics. I bought a homebrew kit. We bought a cheese making kit. I even picked up sewing.
Wow.
Just tried it all, right? And yeah, I guess just making peanut butter was one of the things in that stuck and was like, cool, there's something here. Maybe we could do that.
So before we get to peanut butter, you were trying those other things out to see what? Whether you could find the strand of a business idea or something you could sell, or was it just for your own pleasure?
So there was never an intention to have a business at the start. It was something to try and find a hobby to give the creative outlet an outlet. And so, and like what you're saying before, that income piece is really, really hard. It's really, really challenging. So I don't think we had the confidence to be like, we're going to do a business. We started small. And I think you see this idea of starting small in everything that we now do, because that's how we learn. And this idea of just try it, test it, does it work, yes or no? So, Fix Fogg was a hobby. It's a hobby that's grown into a business. And just like the cheese making was a hobby, just like the sewing was a hobby. But this one grew into a business because we really fell in love with it and we saw the potential in it.
Where did the nut butter idea come from?
So my wife, Andrea, is a vegetarian. We just eat a lot of vegetarian food in our house by default. It was something that fitted in our diet. It was something that was healthy. I really liked the idea that it was versatile. I think it's become much more versatile now since we started. You see people snacking on it and using it in dinners and smoothies and stuff like that. When we started, nut butter and peanut butter particularly was just really the realm of toast,
Yes.
breakfast. And so that kind of idea, like it could be something more, was also an interesting thing. There's something in it that, I don't know, it just appealed to us. I don't know if there was one light bulb moment where it's like, we're going to do peanut butter. It was just as a continuation of all these random things we're trying this year, let's just try making our own peanut butter. And we did try to make it at home. And it's really, really hard. You can do it. It's just not amazing because there's a few things you need that make it a bit better, which is in terms of machinery and roasting and things like that. So I think having something that we're drawn to but wasn't necessarily easy to crack was actually quite cool.
So how did you actually start?
We started Well, so we were working. Andrea's pregnant, so this looming baby was coming. But we started by just finding a place where we could make it. So we found a lawn bowls club, and they let us use it at night. And that was typically a Friday night. And then on the Saturday morning, we'd find a Wellington farmers market and we'd rock up there and we'd sell some jars. And so, look, it started really, really small, 10, 20 jars a week sort of thing. Nothing huge. But actually that idea of just getting out there and doing it, and also having to tell my friends and my family, hey, I'm doing this. It's kind of like that social conditioning, like, I'm doing this. And people are like, what? But you don't know how to make food. And what? You don't know anything.
People think that you're slightly dodgy, crawling into a lawn bowls club at night to manufacture something.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, we had to bring all our equipment in and we had to take it. So I was kind of, I'd waddled in the grinder and then, turn out the lights and I'd be moving equipment out at night. Yeah, people probably thought I was breaking entry.
Running a little meth lab out of the lawn bowls club. So what was the reception that you got once you started selling this stuff?
It wasn't kind of like fireworks went off. It was good. People liked it. Some people didn't like it. Some people said not enough sold. Oh, you roasted it, you burnt it. Like we got it all. It was just one of those things, I think, where there was enough positivity around us, and maybe just from friends really coming along on a Saturday to buy a jar, but that we kind of kept backing ourselves to keep doing it.
Before we get into the business stuff and how wildly successful it has been, I mean, this could have stayed as a hobby for you, right?
Certainly.
I think too often we focus on, okay, here's a great success story because it's gone and made a lot of money and it's won awards and stuff. But maybe that's not the reality for a lot of people. I mean, do you agree that the creative outlet is an end in and of itself? If you were just selling at the farmer's market for the rest of your life and you enjoyed that, that's good enough, isn't it? I
agree. I 100% agree. If that farmer's market is providing you personally with what you're really getting out of what you're doing, then stay there, enjoy it, I mean, if you want to tuck into it, there's this idea of success, right? And what does success mean? And it doesn't have to mean getting massive, selling thousands of jars or, going global or anything. Success can be a very personal thing about fulfillment. And if you are feeling fulfilled from that, then I would say you're incredibly successful.
And what is the recipe for that? What is the recipe for being fulfilled in what you're doing?
Well, I think that will differ from person to person. I know what motivates me and where I find fulfillment is chasing something big and scary. I like that. I love taking risks. I like trying to prove to myself and the people I work with that we can do it, that there's a group of people here in Wellington that can take on the world, and you can do it from Wellington. And not only that, you can do it from starting at ground zero. You can do it from starting at a farmer's market here.
So you said that you weren't necessarily intending to turn this into a business. You started doing it as a creative outlet. What was the tipping point? What was the point where you realized, hey, this could actually become a commercial thing?
This is, I guess, a product of farmers markets as people talk and they tell their mates, and then social media was kicking off as well. So Instagram, Facebook, all those things, we could share posts. People started baking and cooking and using with it, and they were tagging us and things. So through that, we were getting organic approaches, and one of those approaches was the supermarket here. The first one really was More Wilson's. The buyer came along and said, I love it, I want it. I can't even remember how much they ordered. It could have been a couple of 100 jars. It was something, like at the time, something silly, and we just remembered, like, right, this is it, game on. Time to fully quit the job and do nut butter
Really?
full-time. Yeah.
On the basis of that one order?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what do you think when you look back on that now?
I wish I'd forecast. I wish I'd forecast better. And to give you an idea, and I think, and I just say this, I think this theme runs across any business. Doesn't matter if it's food business, a service business, anything. Business is always hard. It doesn't matter at what stage your business is in. I think just get comfortable with the fact that it's challenging. And that doesn't have to be a negative thing. It's just always difficult. And so farmers markets are difficult. Selling to a first supermarket is difficult. Scaling overseas is difficult. And I think when you become comfortable with this concept, you get to own it more. It becomes part of your metal. You're applying yourself to this challenging thing. And when eventually you pop out the end of accomplishing something, whatever it is, a marker along the way, that is a fantastic personal reward for yourself. So selling to our first supermarket had all sorts of challenges, opportunities, of course. Wellingtonians, mainstream Wellingtonians going into a supermarket are going to see it on shelf. But for us, it wrecked our cash flow. We didn't have a lot of cash anyway. So our baby was born, Andrea was at home. I quit the job, we're going to do this thing. And so all this money was going out the door and not a lot was coming back in. That feeling was hard. And you question it, right? You question it like, is this the right thing? Should I go back with my cap in my hand to my old job and be like, hey guys, I've made a mistake. It's a bit embarrassing. Please forgive me. I want to come back. Or you own it and you go, no, we can get through it. And you have that kind of blind naivety, I think, when you're first doing business. It's like, yeah, we can get through it. We can get through it.
What gave you the confidence, though, beyond the naivety, to stick with it? Because a lot of people probably would have folded at that point and said, you know what, I was being overly ambitious or I was being naive. I need to walk this back. Was it your personality? Was it a particular mindset that you had that went, I'm just going to stick at it?
I think it's a combination of things. I was so lucky to have the support of my wife. I think if it was just me waving the flag and kind of sending cash out of our household left, right and centre, and I didn't have her support, we probably would have done that. But she saw the opportunity and she saw the fact that, I'd found something that I really enjoyed doing, and she did as well. So we wanted to stick at it. And by hook or by crook, we'd just muddle our way through. We also, on the back of that Moore Wilson's order, hired our first employee. So I felt an obligation to someone outside our family as well to make it work for his sake.
You hadn't worked in business before. You hadn't started a business. How did you start getting that knowledge?
Yeah, so never run a business in my life, never ran a food business, had no knowledge about food, health and safety, didn't even know about food equipment. I think New Zealanders are very open and warm people, right? And so I went and spoke to people like Coffee Supreme. I went and spoke to the Wellington Chocolate Factory. I went and spoke to Six Barrel Soda.
These are all big brands here in Wellington.
Yeah, and just went and spoke to other food producers and was like, hey man, I'm Roman, this is what we're doing. Have you got any tips? Or I'm struggling with this particular thing. And, people will help you. Just buy them a coffee, and I think we have this awesome thing. That's kind of, you can learn a lot by asking. Just have what I would call dogged determination, right? If you get a no, if you can't figure it out, keep asking, research. The internet is a powerful tool. You can learn a lot on there, right? So I think try and find a network of people that will support you. And I'd say that because with recognizing what I said before, that business is hard, it's challenging, and it can feel very, very lonely. But outside of your little business bubble, whatever that may be, food or otherwise, there is a community out there. You just got to reach out and try and find them.
What does success look like for you?
It looks like showing myself, first and foremost, showing our team, showing people in New Zealand, showing someone who is in a job that they're not particularly enjoying, that might not be motivating, that might not be fulfilling them, that there is a path, that there is a roadmap for them, no matter what their level of experience, no matter what their knowledge, lack of, no matter what the money that they have or don't have to do, to take something and put it on a world stage. And I love that idea that we can take something from farmers market in New Zealand and we can put it on the shelves in grocery stores around the world with all those things that I just said. No knowledge, no outside backers, no board, never run a business before, just through hard determination and work. You can do it.
Do you think that's accessible to everyone, that opportunity?
I think there are a couple of things, and it's really hard to say yes to that because I'm coming at a place where I had the support of my wife, right? So there were two of us. It wasn't just me. And so those late night conversations, I had someone to kind of shoulder to cry on. The other thing that I don't think we talk about enough in New Zealand is inherited wealth. I'm not particularly wealthy, but my mum passed away in the first year of our business and I received an inheritance, and I could take that money and I could put that back in the business. That let me do a couple of things. It let me pay people properly. And so I got really good, committed people to the business. And two, it meant I could not pay myself for 3 years. And so that's what we did. I took that money and I put it into the business and I pushed it. And so those things helped. So is it accessible? I do believe it's accessible. Your time frame just might take longer, or it might be quicker. I'm not too sure. You might reach out for investment. You might bring that on earlier. I'm not sure, but fundamentally it is accessible if you just apply yourself.
So you started with that one supermarket, Moore Wilson's in Wellington, and how did things take off from then?
Well, so our business is not like a hockey stick. I don't see it as kind of this big kind of scale up thing. It's been solid organic growth. We had Moore Wilson's, and then another New World would reach out, or we would reach out to them, and we built the business organically, one store at a time. To, I guess, the point now that we're in most of the supermarkets in New Zealand.
What was it like when you realised that your product was getting mainstream appeal across the country?
It's quite frightening, to be honest. I think other businesses owners can relate to that concept of imposter syndrome, that feeling like, oh, how have I done this? And am I the right person to continue doing this? Am I the right person to continue to grow it? It's personally rewarding as well, though, right? Like you've taken something that, and the layers of personal reward go quite deep. Like people who buy our product now probably don't appreciate that the little lid sticker that's on the top of our jar. I applied that for 2.5 years. The first labels were all paper and I had to cut them out and glue them on. Like there's been so much application to get the product to that point. Whereas when I see it in the supermarket, I see that history. I see that all that work that goes in behind it. And that makes me really, really proud.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it's the hard graft that got you to the point where the brand could even take off in the first place. You mentioned that earlier, the fact that business is hard. Tell me more about that.
I think business is all-encompassing. Our business is always on, in my mind. I like it, though. It's just a matter of managing it and just to accept and get comfortable with, for all the highs that you're going to have and wins, there's going to be lows as well. And the challenge there is how you navigate those and learn from them. And there's a lot of talk about failure in businesses or having something that's a flop. I never see that as, unless it's completely fatal to your business, you've overspent something, you bought $1 million production line and it doesn't work and you've got no cash to keep going. Unless it's an absolute body blow, there is such an opportunity in every time you make a mistake, every time you cock it up, every time you get something wrong, because now you have the ability to perfect it or fine-tune it or move on to the next thing. And if we let, say, a customer down, say we send them some peanut butter and it arrives broken, we get a bit of hate mail, there's now an opportunity to win that person over for life. If we can go over and above and exceed their expectations, apologise, put them back in a place better than they were if this thing hadn't happened, then what a cool thing that is for us and for them.
What does it mean being a hands-on CEO? What does that look like?
So I kind of see my role divided up maybe into 4 areas. The first is strategic direction for the business. I need to help point the ship in the right direction. I don't do that in a silo. Like that is input from everyone who I work with, particularly our senior leadership team. So I think if they don't know and the people who work at Fix Fogg know the direction we're heading, then it can be a very unfulfilling workplace to work for. Why are you turning up? Why are you making this nut butter? Why are you putting in a box? Why are you writing that email? Like tell people where you're going and give it a time frame. Shoot for something like you can do it in 12 months, you can do it in 24 months. So I look after strategic direction. I try and be a cultural guardian of the business to make sure we've got a good, happy place to work in. The challenge there is if I get too busy and that slips, because it's very easy to knock that down the list, and I've learned a lot in that space. The third area would be, I guess I'm in the market for talent acquisition. I'm out there looking for good people that can help grow the business. And I think it's really important that the CEO is constantly has their ear to the ground talking to people, because one of the big lessons I've learned in my time at Fix Fogg is good people can change your business fundamentally. You may have to pay them more, but just bring on really good people and they will help carry the workload. And importantly, they'll share your dream.
And what's the fourth thing?
The fourth is, I'm not too sure if I wanted to admit it because it's definitely a weakness of mine. I see myself as like a backstop. And I'm guilty of it, and I'm sure many founders are, which is I'm the guy scrambling around in the back. If, that courier package probably won't go out today, I'll quickly whip down, print off a ticket, give it to the courier to make sure it does go out. Oh, there's no milk in the fridge. Quick, I'll go grab some.
So you still do stuff like that?
Yeah. Water the plants. Right?
And why do you feel that's a weakness? Because you can't delegate?
It's not the best use of my time. It's not the best use of my time as a CEO. I owe an obligation to everyone to point our business in the right direction and make sure we get there. Watering the plants isn't necessarily taking us there. And so, I guess, look, I'm sure there's people out there that are listening to that and can relate to that, right?
Yeah.
It's a very personal thing.
How did you get into the United States?
About 2017, we started looking for an export market. One of the banks was running just like a what's Amazon all about evenings. And so we went along to that and we're like, oh man, that's pretty cool. Massive website, access to 300 odd million people. Maybe we could just toe in the water, start small, kind of what I was saying before, put our products on a website. Didn't really feel like exporting as well, and just see how it goes. And so that's how it started. We still sell on Amazon. But we probably just sold on that site for about 2 or 3 years, getting the confidence to move from online to on shelf.
What was the response you had from US customers?
Mixed, to be honest, and we kind of messed up a lot.
How did you mess up?
I think we didn't talk to them properly. Correction, we didn't talk to them in the way they expected to be talked to. Americans just do business differently in New Zealand. We'd call it crunchy peanut butter. They kind of assimilate more with chunky, smooth, it's creamy, those sorts of things. So also the flavour profiles. I remember we sent just a heap of honey peanut butter up there, but no one really got behind it. It wasn't sweet enough. So we messed up with language, messed up with the product. Fundamentally, though, the people did like the product as a whole, or the products. And a great thing about having a website, you can change your language. You can swap the photos. It takes a while, but you can put different products in market. And so we just kind of chipped away at that and built quite a cool customer base, built what I'd call a data story, and which was really sales. We had a couple of years worth of sales that then we could show to a supermarket and go, hey, I know we're from New Zealand. I know you've never heard from us. I know we've only been selling on Amazon, but look at this. There's thousands of people out there that have given us a 5-star review. There's thousands of jars sold. Maybe this could work in amongst all your other products on shelf.
And now you're selling in 2,500 supermarkets across the States?
Yeah. It's an eye-boggling number. I still struggle to get my head around it.
But probably still a drop in the ocean. In terms of the wider number of supermarkets. Completely. We are only in, and we're not in all of them, we're only in natural specialty grocery in the US. We're not in conventional grocery, which would be your Walmarts of the world. And that store count, that number has all happened this year. It's happened in 11 months. Do you want to grow even further?
We have our work cut out for us in America. I make no bones about it. I want to be the number one natural nut butter in that country. For all those reasons I said before, why not? I can tell you the number one natural nut butter in America at the moment, the number one selling natural nut butter, comes in a plastic jar and it's got palm oil in it. And I think that's a travesty. So, look, if it's not us, I hope some other like-minded nut butter company does it, but that's what I would like to do.
What have you learnt through that process of exporting so far?
There's sometimes a mistake that we do as Kiwis where we put things in a container and we send it off overseas and say, hey, we're exporting. And I fundamentally disagree with that. And like I said before, just stick with one market. You can give more time to it. You can go there. And so part of going, like exporting, I'd say going to the US was us trying to be physically present there. We built a little window like what we have here in Wellington. And a little retail window is great because it's really cheap. It's got a small footprint, doesn't need to be on a main street. But it gives people dialogue with your brand. They can come up and knock on the window. And it's small, so we can fail. And it's okay. Maybe the window doesn't work. Maybe it does. But what that little window showed was to Whole Foods supermarket, which is one of the supermarkets that we're in the US, is that we had an intention to be present in the USA. They're like, that's so cool. You guys are in Houston.
So it's getting personal. I
agree, yeah. And showing that you're there for the long term, that you're not just there to send the order. Maybe it sells, maybe it doesn't matter, I can move on.
How has being based in Wellington helped your business and your goals?
I think this is an incredibly easy city to do business in and live in, for that matter. Our factory is a block behind Cuba Street. It's in central Wellington, so we can operate a food business in the middle of a capital city. So it kind of blows my mind. There's a big creative current here in Wellington, people doing really, really cool things. And I always kind of inspired by hearing them with their tech, food or whatever it is. And I think that kind of lifts you, picks you up. You know, if they can do it, we can do it.
What can Kiwis do better when it comes to business?
Just acknowledging to yourself that it's hard and really accepting that. But it's not all hard, and there is a community out there that can support you. So I'd encourage Kiwi businesses to talk more to each other. I'm out here. I'll have a chat to someone. You know, because it does help carry the burden and it can show you a path. I think the third thing is really articulating for yourself. It's a very personal question about what success looks like, what's going to fulfill you.
How have you changed as a business leader and as a person during this journey?
Man, I just talked about watering the plants, so I don't know. Don't know how much I can say. No, look, I'm really proud of our business. I'm really proud of the people who I get to work with. I don't know if this is a change, but I keep it at the forefront of my mind. So many people helped me. I didn't know the path at the start, but I got helped along the way. So I'd like just to continue to be able to be a good ambassador for small business, or for business that doesn't even exist, for that person that's sitting in their cubicle, not really knowing what they want to do with their life, to be a help to that person, to be some sort of resource.
What is your message to that person who might be sitting in their cubicle listening to this, wondering whether their ideas could ever become a business reality?
I think we've talked about it so much and I love it. Don't be afraid of failure. If your idea sucks, don't worry about it. You'll have another one and just keep going. And it's that internal drive that's actually growing you as a person. It's not the result. It's not that end mythical shining trophy that's not the thing that's going to get you out of bed every day. It's applying yourself to something that's trying to give you fulfillment. And the cool thing is, you don't find it straight away, because then you're going to keep plugging away, right? And now business is plugging away now in America. We're not there. We're a million miles from it. But it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to think that one day, maybe, don't know, but we might get there. So I think about that and really articulate for yourself what success means for you. There's nothing wrong with staying in farmers markets. They're brilliant. The community there is great. You know, it adds so much to daily life in New Zealand. I love farmers markets on the weekend, right? So just have a think about what it is that you really want, what success means to you.
Are you going to be making peanut butter in 20, 30, 40 years?
If I'm motivated, if the challenge is still out there and it's still big and hairy, then definitely. I hope we'll have knocked America off by that time, though.
Good luck. Hey, Roman, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Imagine This is brought to you by Wellington NZ. Check out more episodes right here or wherever good podcasts are found. See you next time.